What's up, you guys? Welcome to today's video. Thank you so much for being here. If you are new, my name is Jess. I'm a recovering addict who served time in prison, and I'll leave more information about me and my journey in the description box down below. But for today's video, I'm going to kind of outline the top 10 things that trigger me as a recovering addict. Now, please keep in mind when you're watching this, this is my own unique individual experience. What triggers me might not trigger your loved one, but I want to kind of lay it all out on the table, because if you are an addict in recovery like me, or if you are the loved one of an addict, this will either help you not feel alone if you are like me in recovery, or if you're the loved one of an addict, maybe you'll be able to kind of see when they're feeling anxious or stressed or triggered, and maybe you'll be able to better help that person. So we're just gonna jump right into it today. Now, I've mentioned this before, my number one trigger is money. And it's like the weirdest thing, honestly. I could have money in my bank account, I'm not triggered to go spend it on drugs. Doesn't even register in my mind. But if I just have cash in my hand, I feel triggered. I don't really know how else to say that. Having cash in my hand brings me back to a very dark place, which is crazy. You know, I started dealing way back in the day to make money, and to know that still now, today, 8 years into my recovery, 31 years old, I'm still triggered by cash. It still bothers me that much. It frustrates me, but I've just kind of learned not to have cash on me, ever. I don't like to keep it in the house. And I know it's always good to have cash on hand for whatever situation you might find yourself in, but for me personally, I just can't keep it around. I can't keep it in the house, which is odd, but if it bothers me, I've learned to not do it, you know? So I try not to add extra stress onto myself. And it's something so small, like a $50 bill, but that $50 bill brings me back to a time where I was giving that to someone else, or someone was giving it to me for drugs, and I had a lot of money coming through my hands. And because of that, it just triggers me. Not that I'm pulled to go use, but it really brings up horrible memories for me. I would spend hours counting money out, fixing it, making sure it's all in a nice, neat row. They all have to be facing the same way. They all have to be crisp. And I'm very meticulous with things because I'm a Virgo, and that's just how we are. So I would spend hours organizing my money and making sure that it's all facing the right way. And I did that for a long time. I would count my money and recount my money. So I do not like keeping cash. It triggers me, and that's my number one trigger. My second trigger, which comes up all the time, is my depression. I suffer from depression and anxiety and PTSD. So my depression is my biggest trigger to use, because I don't want to feel that way. I don't want to feel sad. I don't want to not get out of bed. I don't want to not play with my kids or not want to play with my kids. And depression is my biggest hurdle. It comes up all the time, and it's the most frustrating trigger of mine by far, because I can't control it. I can control whether or not I have money in the house or whatever. I cannot control when my depression pops up. Just like some days we're just gonna be a pile of mush today. Some days I'm gonna be sad. Some days I'm not gonna wanna get out of bed. And that is so difficult for me and my family, you know? But I have learned ways to self-care and let my support group know, like, I am struggling, I'm depressed today, I don't want to get out of bed today. And I have found that even just saying that out loud to somebody, like REECE, it helps me enormously, because back in the day, I never would tell anyone that I was depressed. Depressed? Are you kidding? Like, you're a dealer, get over it. You know, I couldn't take days off, I couldn't be depressed. And I numbed those emotions, and I numbed my mental health issues with drugs. So today, if I wake up depressed, sometimes I'm like, REECE, can you come home early? Can I just go to bed? I just need to sleep all day. I need to take a bubble bath. I need this, I need that. And I have learned positive ways, especially self-care, positive self-care ways to manage my depression. If I ever needed antidepressants, I would definitely go see my doctor and let him know it's getting worse. So I'm not closed off to that. I'm not closed off to maybe one day needing antidepressants or something to help me handle my depression in a more healthy way. But as of today, October 1st, when I'm filming this video of 2020, I am not on antidepressants or any kind of medication at all. But I do know that that doorway is always open for me if I do need other help with that. But yeah, depression, top of the list for triggers. New car smell comes in at number 3, which is so weird because new car smell to a Virgo, especially supposed to be heaven. You know what I mean? Because it smells like fresh and clean and like brand new. Nope, hate it. One of my old dealers would constantly be buying new cars. I went with him a few times to pick up new cars, and that new car smell triggers relation memory. Have you ever noticed that if you smell something, it brings you back to a special moment in your life, or maybe even a sad moment in your life, and you can almost feel being back in that place? Well, that's called relation memory. And for someone with my background, I get a lot of negative reminders from my past. So new car smell reminds me of driving around with my dealer and picking up new cars for him and selling the cars that he just bought and what have you. So new car smell, I can't stand it. I recently just bought a brand new car, a Jeep Grand Cherokee, and it smelled like that new car smell. So I immediately bought an essential oil diffuser for my car and put like a lavender essential oil in it. Side note, things you didn't know you needed on Amazon, essential oil diffuser for the car. It's bomb. You can also get little air purifiers for your car, so I would do that as well. No pressure. This is not sponsored by air purifiers. Okay, traveling. Traveling's never good for me. Traveling stresses me out, and it's awful. But what's interesting is when I was using substances and when I would get on an airplane, I didn't care. I'm like, take it down, I don't care. But now every single bump, I'm like, I hate flying and it stresses me out so badly. I'll fly if I have to, but I really would rather drive there. If I'm driving, I'm okay. So just kind of piggyback off the whole traveling thing. If I'm in a car ride for a long period of time and someone else is driving, I get really anxious. And that's just my anxiety. So I can see every accident 10 miles down the road and I'm constantly looking for danger and like, I can't relax. Yeah, driving for long periods of time or traveling for long periods of time or flying causes me to have like panic attacks essentially, and it's very difficult for me to do those things. So I don't know if that's a trigger, but it's definitely something that I have to be aware of, and it's definitely something that I want to share, because if you're trying to travel with your loved one that's struggling, just know that like if they become agitated, it might be because they're stressed, because traveling is stressful. And for me personally, I can only speak about me, it takes me back to a dark time in my life, and I don't like traveling. I used to travel all over and take long trips to re-up or purchase more stuff to sell, you know what I mean? And my brain just takes me back to those places. So thanks a lot, hippocampus. Barking dogs. Now, I love dogs. I have a dog. She's my child. And I love dogs, but dogs barking at night especially will like make me wake up out of a sound sleep. It triggers my brain to think that there's parole here or cops are here or someone's trying to break into my house. When you live like that for so long and you live as a dealer, addict, user, what have you, and then you try to live a normal life, those things are still in there. So dogs barking makes me very anxious and it will wake me up in the middle of the night. I'm very fortunate to live in a suburb of Chicago that no one really has big dogs. Where I'm from, everyone's got a pit bull or Rottweiler or a bull mastiff. They have big dogs. And if the dogs are barking in the middle of the night, something is wrong. You know, dogs can hear things easier than we can. And for me, dogs barking at night definitely will wake me up out of a sound sleep. Another trigger for me is loud noises. Now, if something drops on the table, or if there's like, if a car backfires or someone has fireworks or what have you, or even gunshots, it stresses me out and triggers me very badly. And I'm like constantly like, what's up? What's going on? So yeah, loud noises bothers me. Something else that falls under the umbrella of loud noises is loud music. I cannot relax if there's a ton of music. For me personally, I used to blast my music all the time. It used to be super freaking loud in the car, in the house, what have you. I no longer do that because it just makes me more anxious. There was a time where I was walking down the street with headphones blasting music and I got jumped. And I have never blasted music in headphones since then because I'm always afraid that someone's gonna come up behind me and jump me. So a lot of the stuff that I talk about is experiences that I have had that now make me do something differently. And I'm not a good, let's blast the music and have a party kind of person, because I used to be that person for so long. So I don't like loud music or even loud sounds. I have found that like if the kids are yelling and screaming and running and the TV's super loud or whatever, dogs barking, if all of that's happening at once, I get really, really anxious and I can't like relax. You know, I love the sound of my kids playing, but if it's multiple things like kids screaming and running all around and the TV's loud as shit, like I'm just like, oh, I just need to remove myself from that. It's like an overload of stress for me. So Yeah. Getting my blood work done is so triggering for me, and I don't want to like gross anybody out, but the last time I had my blood drawn, I got kind of lightheaded after she took the blood, and I liked that feeling. And that sucks because it's like a normal thing that I was doing, but I was very sick for a long time. I was an intravenous user. So getting my blood drawn, I hate it and I loved it at the same time, if that makes sense. Probably not, but I hated the idea of her drawing my blood, but after she did, even though I was like super like stressed out that she was doing that, the feeling of them taking blood, and it gave me a head rush, and I liked that, and that triggered me really badly. And these are things that I'm honest with everyone in my life, you know? It's so strange that like things that are so normal to other people, like getting your blood work drawn, triggers me to use. I do not like getting my blood drawn, but that head rush is like, whoa. But now that I'm 31, all I have to do to get a head rush is stand up too fast. So there's a silver lining. I don't know, but yeah, blood work freaks me out. Getting tattoos is so therapeutic to me. It doesn't trigger me at all, but putting a needle in my arm, horrible feeling, and triggers me. Hate it, can't stand it, not a good thing. Most people like will look away if they're taking your blood. I watched the whole process because I was just as addicted to a needle as I was a substance, if that makes sense. I was addicted to the entire process of it. So for me, blood work, horrible trigger. Another one I want to mention that triggers me and causes like anxiety attacks and like issues is small spaces. This probably goes back to prison, but I do not like being in a small confined space. So you put me on an airplane, we're traveling in the freaking air, like my brain can't compute that, and I'm in a confined space and I can't get out. So it causes a lot of stress for me. So yeah, small spaces, just cross that off the list, man. I like open, clean spaces. A lot of clutter bothers me, so I try to keep things very clean. I basically try to live my life simply, and I try not to have a lot of excess because my past consisted of so much excess stuff. Excess clothes, excess just junk laying around. I used to go to the store, if I liked a shirt, I bought every single color. I'd go on shopping sprees, and then I would get home, drop the stuff in the bags, not even put anything away, not even wear that stuff, and then go do something else. I was so empty inside that I was trying to fill my life with all this excess stuff, drugs and food and clothes and whatever I wanted. But the problem was so much deeper. I couldn't just fill that void with stuff and drugs and what have you. So I am still a work in progress. I'm still working on my own inner peace. I'm still learning about myself, really. It really is a lifelong process. So I would just say if you have someone that is struggling and they are newly sober, or even if they have 10 years of recovery under their belt, just know that we went through a lot. You know, addicts are warriors that have gone through so much stuff and turmoil and sadness and despair, and it takes time to heal. It also takes time for us to even feel comfortable in our own skin. So be patient with us, and just know life is hard for everyone. So please be kind to those that you encounter, because you never know what they have gone through. As somebody that struggled with suicidal thoughts and severe depression, I always tell myself that tomorrow is going to be better. This situation is really hard today. For now, I make sure that I'm using words that are temporary. This is a really shitty day. This was really hard today. This is difficult right now. Tomorrow is going to be better. I try to be careful even in my wording because I did struggle for a very long time with not wanting to be alive. So I'm very aware of my mental health and my triggers and how to practice self-care, how to ask for help, when to ask for help. And I've found that even just saying out loud that I'm not doing okay has helped me tremendously. And I really hope talking about this online helps you guys as well. I'm gonna end today's video here. As always, I love you guys. Stay safe, stay sober, whatever that looks like to you. There is no wrong way to recover, and I will see you in my next one.